Hi there, characters. Just because I'm not here doesn't mean the learning stops. Time for going over balancing chemical reactions. This is the second worksheet that we got on Friday. Remember, we did part 1 in class, you handed that in, and got part 2 here. If you still have part 1, we're going to pause the video so you can hand it in and pick up part 2. It's okay to go through it with us. If during this video I'm moving too quickly, communicate that politely to our substitute instructor and we can pause it and give you time to catch up. I'm going to zip through this just so the video recording doesn't take too long, but it can be watched in whatever speed you would like. We're going to go through 3 steps on these. We're going to take an atom inventory, then we'll balance the equation, and we're going to use the hints of not starting with oxygen or hydrogen. Usually it's a good idea. And then we'll check the answer when we're done just to make sure we haven't gone insane. So, to begin with, I've got 1 selenium, 6 chlorine, and 2 oxygen on the left of the arrow on the reactant side. On the product side, right of the arrow, I've got 1, 2, and 2 for my inventory here. Now, notice that chlorines don't match. If I put a 3 here, that gives me a new inventory of 6. 3 times 2 for 6. And that makes everything match because I have 1 and 1 on both sides, 6 and 6 on both, 2 and 2 on both. Problem number 2. 1 sodium, 2 hydrogen, 1 sulfur, and 4 oxygen on the left of the arrow. On the right of the arrow, the product side, 2 sodium, 2 hydrogen, 1 sulfur, and 4 oxygen. Now we can see several things don't match. I'm going to start with the sodium. 2 on the right, 1 on the left. I could put a coefficient 2 here, and that takes care of my sodium issue. Boom. Well, I'm looking at it, it looks like that takes care of everything there. You notice I'm leaving blanks in the other spots. If you want to write 1s in there for the purpose of practice, that's okay. Just remember, in math class we don't write 1x. Same here, we don't write x in science class. If you write it, you got one of them. You wouldn't write it otherwise, that would be ridiculous. What are you thinking? Next problem. 1 magnesium, 1 hydrogen, 1 chlorine. That's on the reactant side. The product side, 1, 2, and 2. Apologize for my photocopy being a little sloppy here. But we can see that 2 there next to the chlorine gives me 2 of those. 2 next to the hydrogen gives me 2 of those. Since they don't match, I'm going to start with something. I'll follow our hint and wait on hydrogens. So I'll start with chlorines. 2 here, 1 here. I'll slap a big old coefficient 2 there. Gives me 2 chlorines for my new inventory and 2 hydrogens for my new inventory. And that makes everything match. Hunky dory. Slide my paper up a bit. Chicka 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 boom boom. There we go. Looking at number 4. Silver I've got 1, nitrogen 1, oxygen 3. Sodium 1, and chlorine 1. There are parentheses on this. The person who wrote the worksheet decided that was a good idea for viewing nitrate as a group. I'm not a fan of that, but life goes on. 1 silver, 1 nitrogen, 3 oxygens, 1 sodium, and 1 chlorine. Hey, wait a minute. That matches. Are you telling me some of these are already balanced? Why, yes. Yes, I am. Just like in our labs, sometimes the ratios will be 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. It happens. So we move right on because we can double check and see that we've done our inventory correctly. For number 5, start with 1 aluminum, 1 iron, and 1 oxygen. On the left of the arrow, that's the reactant side, 2 aluminums, 1 iron, and 3 oxygens here. So I've got some atoms being created out of the magic of the universe. No, it doesn't happen. Time to balance this. 1 aluminum to 2 aluminums. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to put a 2 here. That fixes my aluminum problem. Now my oxygens don't match next, so I've got 3 on the right. If I put a 3 here, that takes care of my oxygen problem. I'll update my inventory. But you'll notice that creates a problem with the iron, because I now have 3 of those. That's okay. I can come over here to the right and put a 3 coefficient here for a new inventory of 3 ions. Everything works out just fine. For the next one, I have 1 potassium, 1 oxygen. The hydrogen is a little sneaky here. I've got 1 here and 2 there. I've got a total of 3 hydrogens to start with, and 1 sulfur. On the right of the arrow, I have 2 potassium, 1 oxygen, 2 hydrogen, and 1 sulfur. So let's start with potassium. It's a metal, good place to start. 2 here, 1 over there. Boom. Now that changes some things. I'm going to just cross out anything that might have been affected by that. It's real tempting when you get a 2 here to multiply your inventory times 2. Remember, we're working with the equation, so let's recount from the equation standpoint. That gives me 2 potassium, 2 oxygen, and here I've got 2 hydrogens plus the 2 that are over here for 4. If I had just started with my 3 and multiplied it times 2, I'd have 6. My inventory wouldn't be correct. Take the time, recount during your inventory. Don't just multiply from the columns. So fix the potassium, and that caused some other minor issues here. Oxygens and hydrogens don't work. Let's check. Sulfur? Sulfur's still good, so now we've got to go to one of these two. I'll go to the hydrogens next. I have 2 here, and I'd like it to give me 4. Put a 2 coefficient there, and that gives me 4 hydrogens, and that changes my oxygen total. 2 of those. And now, because I've got 2, 2, 4, and 1, and 2, 2, 4, and 1, everything is balanced. Number 7, taking my inventory here, I've got 1 carbon, and 2 plus 1 for 3 oxygens, probably going to be obnoxious, oxygens like that. 1 potassium, and 1 hydrogen. Over here I've got 1 carbon, 3 plus 1 oxygen for 4, 2 potassium, and 2 hydrogen. So it's time to fix it. Oxygens don't match, but they're a pain. Let's leave them for last. Let's look at potassium. 2 here, and over here, oh, there we go, there's potassium. I'm going to slap a 2 in there. It gives me 2 potassium. And it affects oxygen and hydrogen, so I'm going to cross them out down below, and now I'll recount. I have 2 oxygens in the KOH, potassium hydroxide, and 2 oxygens in my carbon dioxide, so I have a total of 4 oxygens now. I have 2 hydrogens. And notice that fixed itself. That happens a lot, where we fix everything but the oxygen or hydrogen, and they tend to work themselves out. It's not every time, but it's often. Now let's look at the back side of that page. Boom. The a little bit difficult section. I have 3 hydrogen, 1 arsenic, and 4 oxygen. Over here, I have 2 hydrogen, 2 arsenic, and a total of 5 plus 1 for 6 oxygens. Oh, oxygen. There's 2 arsenic, only 1 here. I'm going to fix that with a coefficient. 2. Boom. My hydrogen totals got changed, as did my oxygen. I have 2 times 3 for 6 hydrogen. 2 times 4 for 8 oxygen. Well, great, now arsenic's matched, but nothing else works. Time to give up. No, I'm kidding, don't give up. Hydrogens, 2 there, and I need 6. If I put a 3 here, 3 times 2 gives me the 6 hydrogens I need. I've also affected my oxygen total, so I'm going to cross it out. I'm going to recount. Here's 3 oxygen, plus the 5 over here gives me a total of 8. Holy gravy, that's what I needed on both sides. Yeah, we're awesome. For this next part, my inventory is a little squished, bear with me. 1 potassium, and 1 nitrogen. My oxygens, I have 3 from each of the chemicals that are reactants. I've got a total of 6. I have 2 hydrogen and 1 carbon. Over here I've got 2 potassium, 1 nitrogen, and 6 oxygen, 1 hydrogen, and 1 carbon. So things are looking all right. The potassiums aren't perfect, but you know, we're pretty awesome. We can probably handle that. So I'm going to put a 2 on the left, and that changes my potassium total. It also changes my nitrogen total, and it messes with my oxygen. I have 6 from this chemical now, and 3 here for a total of 9. Oh, that's annoying. 9 is never a good number to have in these. I should probably quit. No, no, don't quit. Let's go back to it. What doesn't match next? Nitrogens. One here, and I need two. So I'm going to put a 2 in front of this nitric acid. That fixes my nitrogen problem. I do have to update my hydrogens. I now have 2 of those. And my oxygens, I have 2 times 3 for 6 of those, plus another 3 over here gives me 9. That's what I wanted. Wow, we must be awesome. Look at the next one. 5 carbons, 8 hydrogens, and 2 oxygens. 1 carbon, 2 hydrogens, and 3 oxygens. 2 there and 1 there. Things don't match up, so let's attack the carbon. 5 right there gives me 5 carbons. It changes my oxygen totals. Now I've got 5 times 2 for 10, plus 1 over here for 11. Now my hydrogens don't match. I have 8 here, 2 there. Put a 4 there. There's 8 hydrogen. It does mess up my oxygen totals, so I'm going to recount. 10 oxygen plus those 4 for 14 oxygen on this side. I need 14 oxygen over here, so I'm going to put a 7 right there. And that gives me the 14 oxygen I need. For the next one, my hydrogens, I have 2 from the magnesium hydroxide and 1 from HCl for 3. I have 1 chlorine, 1 magnesium, and 2 oxygen. On this side, I have 2 hydrogen, 2 chlorine, 1 magnesium, and 1 oxygen. So starting with things that don't match, chlorines are the first thing other than hydrogen or oxygen that don't match. So I'm going to put that here, 2, and that gives me 2 chlorines. That also gives me a new total of hydrogens. 2 hydrogen here, plus 2 there for 4. Now I'm a little closer. My hydrogens don't match, so I'll work on those next. 4 on the left, 2 on the right, put a 2 in front of the water. And that gives me a total of 4 hydrogens. That also increases my oxygen total. Now I have 2 there, and everything matches up. For this next part, I have 1 sodium, 1 chlorine, 2 hydrogen, 1 sulfur, and 4 oxygen. Over here, 2 sodium, 1 chlorine, 1 hydrogen, 1 sulfur, and 4 oxygen. The ones that don't match first are sodiums. 2. Boom. And that changes my Cl totals here. That's okay, I'm awesome, I can handle that. Since my chlorines don't match anymore, I'm going to put a 2 coefficient right here, and that fixes my chlorines. And updates my hydrogens here to 2, and everything matches. That's as tough as they're going to get, at least as far as what I expect you to do on your own. You'll notice this video is getting close to 15 minutes. That's a long time. So I'm going to let you guys play it by ear. There's another video that shows the Are You Crazy options. I can show you how they work. If you want, you guys discuss it and politely work with a substitute. Decide if you even want to watch that video. The last 2 evil equations, remember, are extra credit. I'm not going to show you how they work. There is an assignment on the backboard to work on when this is done. You'll only need to hand this in today if you do the evil equations and you want the extra credit for them. Remember, you don't have to help anyone with those. You're awesome.